for a little bit. We'll get back into it probably in the 6 o'clock hour if your situation update has to do with something around that. But yes, let's talk positioning, let's talk mastery, and let's talk getting it right going into 2026. My guest with me has been a regular for the last couple of Thursdays on the show, and it's good to have him back here again, Mr. Isaac Oladipupo, known popularly as Africa's money storyteller, but also perhaps I can say this confidently, a guru when it comes to matters of finance. Safe to say that. I know you wear many hats, but yes, of course. So we've been talking about a number of things that have to do with mastering your money. Last week, we left off on some questions that we couldn't answer because of time, and so we're going to start from there and then get into savings and investment, trying to understand what the clearer path to growth is, or what the clearer path to growth will be, especially given our current economic climate here in the country. Also taking into consideration some of all the major concerns that people who have been trying to figure this out would ask, some of which we've dealt with in the previous episodes, talking about, how much am I earning? Should I get an additional thing? How do I build, upskill? All of that. We've addressed all of that, but just in case this is your first time joining, we would not mind answering some of those questions again. But we're currently going to take the questions from last week and then going to move on to understanding what the clearer path to growth is going into 2026. So thank you once more for being here, sir. Good to have you here.
My pleasure. It's brilliant to always be with you on this amazing show.
All right, then. Okay, so let me go to the questions from last week. We were speaking about budgeting to a large extent.
Absolutely.
And in the course of the conversation, of course, earnings, how much people are earning came up. And then also the question about savings versus investment. Somebody had asked, when your guest says save, what does he really mean? Does he mean keep the money in the bank? And he said, the question continued, hope this tax reform will not affect it. And then the person also went ahead to ask, what is mutual fund? And is it okay to invest in mutual trust funds? So it's a twofold kind of question. So let's have you get in on it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And good evening again, my people. Thank you for this question, because this is where many people actually miss it. So we're going to make it as simple, as clear as possible.
Yes.
Now, the question is, when we say save, what do we mean? So when I say save, I actually don't mean keeping your money in a normal bank savings account. That's not what I mean. So because if you keep 100,000 naira, for instance, in a regular savings account in Nigeria today, the bank will give you maybe 800 naira interests in 1 month. But inflation will remove at least 3,000 naira from it. So the money is safe, but the value is dying. That's what happens when you save money in a regular bank, And when I say regular bank, I mean the normal traditional bank. I don't want to mention
deposit
names.
Money banks, basically.
Exactly.
DMBs.
Now, so when I say save, I actually mean put your money somewhere that is safe and somewhere where it will grow faster than keeping it in a normal bank account. Examples of those places are money market funds, piggy vests, OPay fixed savings, treasury bills. Those are instruments where you will get way higher interest rates than just keeping your money in the bank. So these ones not only protect your money, they also make it grow a lot faster than the inflation rates. So that is what we mean by saving.
Can you explain how that growth goes? Because, these days, a lot of the time when people hear growth, they're thinking, okay, the calculation is if I put 10,000 naira today, by 3 months, maybe I can expect a 300,000 naira. That kind of speedy, quick growth. So some of the instruments that you mentioned, I'm particularly my interest was piqued when you talked about treasury bills. I've also heard about bonds as well. I believe these are federal government instruments.
Yep.
Yeah. So what does growth in those kinds of instruments look like?
Okay. So when it comes to these different kind of funds, Let me take saving for instance. When it comes to saving, you save in this instrument, your money doesn't get multiplied like you get like times 10 the money you save there. No, the only thing that happens is that your money gets protected from inflation, meaning that your money is growing faster than it is decreasing, like you would in a normal bank, right? However, when you invest in something like treasury bills, now what are treasury bills? So treasury bills are like short-term loans that you give to the Nigerian government, to the federal government. It's like the federal government is borrowing money from you. So for instance, today now, if I have a project that I want to embark on, and I say, I have a friend, Somi is my friend, Somi, please, do you have some funds to invest in this business? And then she gives me some funds. That's exactly what you're doing when you invest in treasury bills.
Okay.
This time around, the person borrowing from you is your government. So it's like saying you need money, I have some money, take it for 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. And then when you're paying me back, you pay me extra trust, So I trust you that much. And the government always pays because the government will always pay. The government owns the Central Bank of Nigeria. Anyway, they can always print money. So the government will not owe you. And that's why treasury bills are considered one of the safest investments in Nigeria because there won't be default. Now, why are treasury bills so popular? Number one, like I said, they are government backed, they are safe, are very safe. They offer high returns than the regular banks, and they are perfect for short-term goals like you want to pay house rent, you want to do school fees, you want to purchase a car, you want to do major Christmas, and you want to close your streets on Christmas Day, those kind of stuff. So they help you beat inflation or at least reduce its damage. So right now in Nigeria, T-bills pay around between 10% to 17%. That's a lot, depending on the duration and the market rates at that time.
Depending on the duration.
Yes, and the market rate. So if you're putting your money there for a shorter time, of course you get a shorter interest rate rates. If you're putting it for a longer period, you also get a longer interest rate. So the longer you put it there, the more you would get. So for instance, a man saving 100,000 naira in a bank, a regular bank account, in 1 year, you might earn an interest of 1,200.
That's generous. So I heard you the first time when you said 800 a month. I'm like, which bank?
Yeah, it is generous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you put that same money in a treasury bills, let's even say at 12%, it would earn over 12,000 naira, right, on that same money. That's like 10 times more with the same money. So that's the difference between putting your money in a bank account and putting it in an instrument like treasury bills. So the difference is in the bank, your money is sleeping. In the treasury bills, your money is working for you.
Okay. I have someone here who said, of course, you've already answered part of it. He said, please tell him to talk about treasury bills, which you've kind of covered. But then he also said bonds. And then he asked, how does one invest in any of this? So you've shed some light on treasury bills. Can you do that for bonds? And then how do people get to invest in these?
Absolutely. So almost similar to how treasury bills work. Of course, there's a difference between treasury bills and bonds. So bonds are like long-term wealth builders. A bond is simply like you're lending money to the government or in some cases to a company, of course, a major organization. But this time around for a longer period, say between 2 to 10 years. So in return, they pay you interest every 6 months, and they return your full money at the end of the period. So it works like this. You borrow 500,000 from me, for like 3 years. Let's say Somi borrows 500K from me for like 3 years. Every 6 months, you pay me interest. At the end of 3 years, you pay me my 500K back. So meaning that I'm going to get interest first, on a maybe 6 month or 3 month basis. And at the end of that tenure, I'm going to get back the capital that I gave you.
Yes.
That's how bonds work. Now, because Nigeria's economy is unstable, inflation is very high, the naira is unpredictable, prices are very, very, salaries are not even increasing. I was shocked at one of the questions you sent to me.
Yeah.
At how many people are still earning
less than 50,000 naira.
That is painful. So that is heartbreaking for me. I must confess I can't believe that. But fortunately, it is true. So anyway, back to our bonds. So bonds basically help you to preserve money. It helps you to grow your money. It helps you to receive regular cash flow because you're getting the interest
Yeah.
before you then get back your capital. And then it is good for long-term goals, right? Now, there are different types of bonds in Nigeria. First, it is backed by the Nigerian government as well, just like treasury bills.
Yeah.
The only thing is that the process is a bit different from what I have said, if you realize, right? It is also considered very safe. You get paid interest twice a year. Tenure can be either 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, some even 20 years, right? Now there are corporate bonds. Corporate bonds also are issued by big companies. They have higher returns than
Okay.
the regular ones. They also have higher risks. So, and that's why I always advise, please, if you are buying bonds, you're doing treasury bills, very important, always buy from reputable, financially healthy companies. Very, very important. Make sure they are registered by SEC. I mean, they are regulated by SEC. They are properly registered. They are duly registered. All of these things you can find on their websites. So before you put your hard-earned money in a company, please ensure they are well registered and well regulated. So treasury bills pay well, bonds pay well. These are smart ways to outsmart inflation
Okay.
and ensure that while you are working, your money is actually working even harder for you. Now, yeah,
Okay. So this is your definition of saving, right?
that is my definition of saving. Of course, while you're doing this, you also want to have some funds in an instrument, an accessible instrument like maybe piggy vests. Right? Why? Because if you need an emergency, maybe you're in an emergency, you need some funds instantly, you can access that money, right? But my point is, don't put your money in a regular bank. The truth of the matter is that the managers, the owners of these banks as well, don't put their monies there. They invest those monies directly because they are wise.
Some of them will argue with you, we have fixed deposit accounts. What you're going to get with the treasury bills and the bonds, you can put it in a fixed deposit, for a year, for 2 years, and it will give you high yields. So are you
Yes.
saying that the yields in, for example, a fixed deposit in a deposit money bank will not give you as much as some of all these other instruments you've mentioned?
Absolutely won't. So when they tell you when they tell you stuff like that, what you simply respond is, okay, can I have the rates? And then once they tell you their rate, then compare it to what's obtainable with treasury bills, with bonds, and with those other instruments. Then you see for yourself that, okay, this is the best way to go, and then
Okay.
you do accordingly. Yeah.
Accordingly. There we go. Okay. All right. So savings on the one hand. Let's see if we've addressed his question. He also asked, will tax reform? Okay, if you are putting your if you're putting your money in some of these instruments, his question is, will tax reform affect it, or is it just when it's sitting in a bank?
Well, I think to a large extent, for the audience we are currently speaking to, it will shock you actually to know that Nigerians don't like to hear this, but it's actually the truth. The tax policies that are going to be in effect from next year actually favors to a large extent the average Nigerian more than it favors the wealthy.
Give us
That's-
one element of it that makes you say this.
There are many elements actually. So, for instance, unlike before, you won't get taxed on many things anymore. You won't get taxed on sanitary pads, on education products, on health products, there are so many things that won't get taxed anymore. That's one. Number two is if you're earning a particular threshold, if you're earning 1.2 million naira and less, you would also pay zero tax, right? Number three, if you invest in the stock market, you would only get taxed if your profit is above 150 million naira. So there are just many, and of course, if you also invest that money in certain sectors like the agricultural sector, and the likes, you also don't get taxed. So there are many things that the government have actually put in place as factored in to this new policy, right? It is very, very rare for you to see me speak in favor of the government, but I've studied the policies and I see that, for the first time, the government is actually fighting for her people, which is beautiful to see. However, there's so much negative and wrong information out there that is scaring people to believe that, oh, next year is going to be bad. No, 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 no. What you need to do, as a matter of fact, is actually going to be easier next year. The only thing you need to do is ensure that if you have a company, a small company, ensure that you're well registered and you are doing your filing, because that is the only way you can then claim that you have an exception. If you're not making a particular amount of income of money for now, you also get taxed. So, of course, that's a different topic entirely. That is very all encompassing. Now, I can't go into the details of that, but essentially, the tax laws that are coming into effect from January next year, to a large extent, actually favor the average Nigerian.
Okay, I think perhaps why, because you mentioned wrong information, so maybe we can just clear that up very quickly before we move on to the next aspect of the question. So you mentioned the threshold of 1.2, right? But I have seen somewhere, and even when you mentioned it, I glitched for a little bit, because I was sure at some point that the annual threshold was 800,000. So he said 800,000 and below. Even though earlier on in the day, we had seen a report, and I talked about it here on the show, where Mr. Oyedele came out and said, if you're earning 70,000, 80,000, even 90,000, you will be exempt. Now, even if we put it at the 90,000, if you do 90,000 by 12, you're going to be earning more than 1.2. Correct me if I'm wrong. If my math is mathing, let me do the math again, just so that we're sure. So the challenge, I think, with that thing of, oh, Nigerians are not sure, or there's fear, is sometimes it does seem like even the government sort of like changes what they say, because if the threshold before was 800,000, and then today I'm seeing, okay, my bad, 90,000 was the highest amount he put it at. So 90,000 times 12 is 1,080,000. But I was like, okay, at 800,000 per year, people who are earning 80,000, people who are earning 70,000 are exempt. But he comes out today and says 70, 80, 90 will be exempt. So that means that the threshold seems to have increased. But then again, Nigerians sometimes are not sure. So why have 800,000 as a threshold annually? And then I hear you say 1.2 as a threshold. What are the chances that come next year, it will not decrease again to 800,000?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the only time they've actually changed it was once. I think what we are experiencing and what we're seeing is that different outlets are saying different things and throwing out different wrong information. Right. Now, what Mr. Oyedele said was actually true, that if you earn 90K, you won't be taxed. As a matter of fact, even if you earn 100K, you still won't be taxed, because 100K means that you're earning
a gross of
1.2 million naira.
Yes.
And that is actually the cap. It is only people that earn above 1.2 million naira that's when you then begin to pay tax. So starting from January 1st, 2026, if you earn 100K or less, you'll be paying zero in taxes. If your annual income is 1.2 million naira or below, you are also fully exempt from paying taxes. Even your gifts won't be taxed anymore. There's rent relief with 20% off your yearly rent as well, up to 500K.
Yes.
Now, aside from that as well, there are many other exemptions that they've also announced. So, essentially, what Nigerians need to do, what we need to do, there's still a lot the government has to do anyway, by the way. Let's be very clear on that. But what Nigerians need to do right now is get yourself acquainted with the laws, right? Because before now, if you earn those amounts, you get taxed. But now they're saying we want let the poor breathe. So if you are employed as well, your benefit also increases. So for instance, from the new tax law that takes effect from next year as well, employers now get tax deductions for raising salaries or hiring more people. So if a company raises salary or hiring more people, they will get some tax reduction. It means companies will be more open. They will be incentivized to actually
hire more
salaries and of course hire more people. Why is the government doing that? Because they want to increase employment rates. So even job loss compensation is now up to 50 million naira, in terms of that will not be taxed. So what that means is that if someone loses a job and gets a compensation up to 50M, you will not be taxed on that compensation. So, and if you ask me, that is actually how nations grow gradually. So business owners and startups as well, they are benefit for them. So for instance, small companies under I think it's 100 million turnover, they will pay zero taxes.
I think it's 150.
Okay. Well, the last information I got directly from Mr. Udili's office.
God, these are our information sources.
Okay. Then medium companies as well, between, so essentially, and then if you're into the agribusiness, you get 5 years tax holiday, meaning that you are into the food business, you're a farmer, and then there is 50% deduction for staff salaries, transport, training, and stuff like that. So farmers, for instance, they will breathe. People like tailors, who are just starting their business, who have turnover here, so they would also breathe. So essentially, the government is saying, we see you, we want to give you some break, and this is not changing anytime soon as well. But of course, the whole idea also is to get more people to get into the
tax
rich
bracket.
class. Exactly, before they start taxing you.
Okay.
But while you are building, they are saying, okay, we want to allow you breathe so that you can, So for instance, if you sell your own house, you sell up to 2 cars yearly, you earn stocks profit, like I said earlier, up to 150M, you will not be taxed, right? So those are little stuff. VAT on food, on rent, on education, on health, on drugs, even baby products, via agricultural inputs, they will not be taxed. Sanitary pads, they will not be taxed. So those are all things the government is trying to do to ease, but there's still a lot that the government must do.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will continue. I've got a few more questions here, and hopefully we'll be able to get into the investment aspect of it. Just to be clear, what you talked about with treasury bills and bonds, and some of all those other instruments is savings. It's not investment, right?
Well, it's in a way, it's also a part of investment.
Okay.
Of course, there are then, of course, deeper levels to investment when it comes to stock markets, when it comes to ETFs and whatnot.
Okay.
But treasury bills in itself is a part of investment. It's just that you're edging your money from inflation.
Okay.
But this time around, your money is still accessible as much as possible. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's take that break. We will be back in 9 minutes.
Zan wuce cibiyar wasanni da motsa jiki. Cibiyar wasanni? Tun yaushe. Ai tun da na fara jin daɗin shan Freshio yogurt on the go. Na fahimci cewa zan iya tafiya aiki, in je cibiyar wasanni, in je kallon fina-finai a sinima, sa'annan kuma in kasance cikin kuzari a koyaushe. Haka ne. Freshio ingantacciyar hanyar samun sinadaran vitamin A, B6, B12, D da zinc da ke saka ku kuzari da annashuwa. Aha, mun samu labarin paketin Freshio na yara ya sake dawowa tare da ramin straw, wato abin zuƙa.
Babe, how you go describe something way big past big?
Na grand, like mountain, like jumbo, like better soup way sweet.
You forget one thing, Black Friday discount.
Where it they happen?
Now for Grand Square.
Talk true.
From November 27th to 29th, 2025, Grand Square, they give up to 70% off on selected goods, massive savings on supermarket essentials, electronics, furniture, beverages, wines and spirits, and much more. Better discount, we go sweet your belly.
Oh boy, na real grand Black Friday bonanza be this so.
No dolly yourself. Offer day valid while stock last. Make you no carry last Go Grand Square Ikeja, Grand Square Victoria Island, Grand Square Abuja, and Grand Square Kano to enjoy this better wolf.
Black Friday at Grand Square, November 27 to 29th. Grand savings way past grand.
In today's marketplace, trust is everything. For buyers, it means safety and confidence. For sellers, it means more sales. And for platforms, it means real growth. That's why we bring you Trust Mark. One badge, one symbol, total confidence. Together, we are stopping fraud, protecting customers, and making online shopping safer for everyone. Look for the Trustmark logo, a green circular seal, 2 golden stars, and at its heart, the map of Nigeria with a bold white check mark. Around found it. The words Building Trust in Nigeria's Digital Future. This project is implemented by NITDA and NASIMA with support from GIZ, the German Agency for International Cooperation in Nigeria. For more information, please visit www.trustmark.gov.ng. Terms and conditions apply. Trustmark. Trusted. Verified. Yours.
Chai, my head oh. Oga landlord, why you dey shake like ceiling fan? My village people don't come again oh. This one with your body hot so, you don't do test? Yes, see result oh. Oga landlord, no be your village people oh. Na malaria, you need Luta. Luta na better medicine wey dey knack down malaria. Oya see am, take am. Thank you Oga Luta. I don't can't pay.
Luta, brand of Artemeta and Lumefantrine, is another quality product from Hovid, marketed by Pharmatex Nigeria Limited. If symptoms persist after 3 days, see your doctor.
Everybody say thanks, Luta. Malaria's in big trouble.
I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef. Taste your root in every meal. I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef. I am the chef of life with Mr. Chef.
Mr. Chef, taste home, taste culture.
Chef of life.
Whether you're buying smoky jollof from your favorite spot in Ikeja, shopping online for your latest styles, or booking your next getaway to Dubai, MasterCard gives you the freedom to pay your way. Insert, tap, swipe, or click. So many options, yet so easy, with layers of security protecting every payment. Your money stays safe.
From Danfo to travel, MasterCard connects you to the life you've earned and the one you dream of. Ask your bank for a MasterCard today. MasterCard, safe, convenient, priceless.
Poco ya bayyana.
Daga 27 ga watan Oktoba zuwa 31 ga watan Disamba, Mororawa mai har na 40,100 akan wayar zamani na Poco.
Samu kowane wayar Poco ka kuma samu damar yin nasarar zuwa ƙasar Turai a kyauta.
Dakata, zababbun samfura na zuwa tare da kyautar shinkafa da man girki gare ku.
Duba sabbin wayar Poco C85, wayayyen zaɓi, farashi mai sauƙi.
Poco, ka zama wayayye, ka zaɓi Poco.
Across Nigeria, stories are waiting to be lived. Family reunions in Calabar, big deals in Lagos, new adventures in Owerri, and one airline makes them all possible. Welcome aboard Cali Air, operated by ValueJet. Comfortable seats, friendly crew, on-time flights to Kano, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and more. Make memories, close deals, see loved ones. Let Cali Air take you there. Book now at www.flyvaluejet.com. Cali Air, proudly cross river.
Kirsimeti ya gabato, Andrews kuma ya zo muku da kyakkyawar garabasa mai suna Lemon Friday Christmas Promo da raguwa kaso 40%. Ma filayen da biyan tsawon watanni 36 da kalalin biyan 300,000 ma pakejin tagula, sama da miliyan 3,500,000 ma pakejin lu'ulu'u, duk kuma kyaututtuka kamar buhun shinkafa, sa, kaza, na'urar sa kayan sanyi mai kofa biyu da kuma sauran kyaututtuka. Za ka zama mai fili ka kuma ji daɗin Kirsimeti. Andrews na so ku shagali a cikin murna. Runguma wannan garabasar domin ku taimakawa rayuwarku da kuma ta iyalanku a nan gaba. Da akwai dokoki da kuma sharaɗoɗi. Domin ƙarin bayani 0803-725-2165 0816-849-2430.
Abuja City, are you ready? The Premium Trust Bank Abuja City International Half Marathon is back.
And this time, it's a World Athletics labeled race and time for a truly world-class marathon experience.
This 6th of December 2025, starting at the Old Parade Ground and ending at the Velodrome area of the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja.
Join thousands of runners from your city and around the world in an unforgettable race that comes with amazing cash rewards and incredible experiences.
The route is set, the city is waiting, and the street It's all yours. To register now, visit www.abujacityhalfmarathon.com or pick your form from a Premium Trust Bank branch near you.
Registration ends on the 30th of November 2025.
The Premium Trust Bank Abuja City International Half Marathon is brought to you by Premium Trust Bank, certified by World Athletics, supported by the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of the FCT, and is organized by the Lion Sports Management Limited.
Yes, so this is Jolly Johnny on the streets. How well do you know Maggi chicken flavor? Oh yeah, spell celery.
Celery. Celery.
Bros, you want turn to salary? Okay, spell turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yes, so.
Turmeric.
Correct. One carton of Maggi chicken flavor for you.
Maggi chicken flavor with onions, celery, and turmeric. My game changer.
You love sharing Coke. Now, Coke wants to share something with you. Buy a Coke bottle with a name, slang, or nickname. Scan the QR code, enter the code under the cap, and you can win your slice of 250 million naira. That's right. From basic to eat girl, your next Coke might be your ticket to soft life. So, why are you still here? Grab yours now. Share a Coke, share the vibe, win the cash. Approved by FCCPC. Terms and conditions apply.
Whether you're buying smoky jollof from your favorite spot in Ikeja, shopping online for your latest styles, or booking your next getaway to Dubai, MasterCard gives you the freedom to pay your way. Insert, tap, swipe, or click. So many options, yet so easy. With layers of security protecting every payment, your money stays safe.
From Danfo to travel, MasterCard connects you to the life you've earned and the one you dream of. Ask your bank for a MasterCard today. MasterCard, safe, convenient, priceless.
It's that time of the year for you to get to enjoy 5 to 50% discount on gadgets, clothes, fashion, food, cosmetics, hair, and lots more at the Banix Plaza Trade Fair, the first edition. Yes, you heard me right. If you are a vendor, you are welcome to get a stand. Visit the office of Banix Plaza Management at Banix Plaza, Abuja, or call the number 003 050 9372 or 0704 794 0556. Don't miss out. Banix Plaza Trade Fair, the first edition. Hurry up and get your stand.
That is okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. She off your mic.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info. Your mic is always on. Let's talk.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
All right, we are back talking about mastering your money, keeping up the series with my guest, Mr. Isaac Oladipupo, who has been so very graciously sharing with us on everything we need to know, starting with the first session we had together when we talked about really and truly the situation in the country and the state of inflation and how one can survive the inflation in the country. So we touched on some things that I'm seeing some people are sending here as comments. So God help us if we're able to get through those comments and get into our conversation for today, which has to do with looking at savings and investment, just trying to understand the clearer path to growth. Now, some people have listened intently, but are still very, very sad about the state of, for example, how much they're going to earn if they were going to save using federal government instruments. I'll just run through a few messages here quickly, see if you can address it, and then we'll get back to our conversation for today. Sam from Abuja asked, please, is it only CBN that operates treasury bills and bonds? I think Isaac has spoken about the bonds issue. Maybe he would clarify about the treasury bills. The question is it only CBN that does that? Daniel from AYA says, good afternoon, Somi. As far as I'm concerned, investment in Nigeria is not encouraging, whether it's bank savings, treasury bills, or bonds, irrespective that the interest rate far differs. For me, it's not encouraging because I wonder why an individual it will invest 100,000 naira in government treasury bills and get only 12% per annum. It's too poor. I can't do that, and I believe it only happens in this country. Then he goes ahead to say the cheating in Nigeria is too much. The government doesn't want the citizens to be rich. Please ask your guests about the treasury bills interest of all the oil-producing countries like Nigeria. All right, I'm sure you will attend to that one. And then this person is asking, what is the minimum amount of treasury bills or bonds you can buy as an individual? And then Olumide from Duse, good evening, Somi, I'm the guest. If the family of 4 is earning 150,000 naira and they pay personal income tax from that money in this inflation economy, how will the family survive? Okay, let me let you attend to those ones, and then we'll pick up the conversation.
Wow. Well, that's a mouthful, I must say. A lot of questions, loads and loads of questions.
Yes.
And let's begin with the first question, which says maybe you then come up with the other ones.
Is it only CBN that operates treasury bills?
Yeah. So the answer is no. The CBN does not operate or own treasury bills and bonds, but the CBN only helps to issue and manage some of them on behalf of the federal government. CBN does not operate any of those things. CBN is simply like a referee in a match. They regulate things, but they don't directly deal with those things. So now, who issues treasury bills? Number one, the federal government of Nigeria through what we call DMOs, that's Debt Management Office. And then who manages and conducts the auctions as the Central Bank of Nigeria, because it acts as a government banker. So the government creates the treasury bills, and this is how it happens. So government wants to do a project. Let's say President Tinubu declares now that, we want to build 8 mainland bridge and we need $20 billion. And the government cannot afford it right now. So we want to raise that money from Nigerians, right? So they would institute a treasury bills, and then the central bank would act as a banker, but they will not be the ones to execute it, right? So the government creates those treasury bills based on a particular projects that they want to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Then CBN sells them to the public through auctions. So this means that the CBN is not the owner, it's the manager of the process. So where do you then buy the treasury bills? You buy it from banks, you buy it from stockbrokers, you buy it from investment houses, and of course, DMO primary auctions, but not through the CBN.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that basically works.
Okay. So let's look at the second one, addressing the rates, which someone says is too low. 12% per annum is too poor. And he says, I believe this only happens in this country, this kind of rates. And the person was saying the government doesn't want citizens to be rich, and says, perhaps if you could share with us, oil-producing countries, how much do they give for their treasury bills? I don't know if you have that information.
Well, I'll be very frank. Of course, I'll be very sincere to say that it's actually not low. Nigeria actually has some of the highest investment returns in the world. So, for instance, if you are investing in an instrument like that in the UK or in the US, you won't get beyond 7%.
Yeah, the question he asked was other oil-producing countries like Nigeria.
Other oil-producing countries,
Yeah.
I would say actually as par. Nigeria still has some of the best rates, actually, and this is from credible facts. So it depends on what you are comparing, though, and why.
Okay.
But in many cases, yes, Nigeria's returns can be either average or a bit lower than other countries with lower inflation and more stable economies. But when it comes to investment generally, that's why you see that there is something called Eurobonds, for instance. So Eurobond is when the government is saying, okay, people should come and invest their money. The Nigerian government wants to do a particular project.
Mm-hmm.
People are permitted to invest from other countries. You usually see the last one was oversubscribed. Why? Because Nigeria's interest rate is way higher than what other countries would give. And that's why you have people from the US, from the UK investing in our Eurobonds. and oversubscribing for it. Why? Because our interest rate is high now, and there's a reason for that. The reason is if the US is trying to raise money, people will buy it anyway, but they will not give you that high interest rate. Why? Because they know people will buy it. But Nigeria, when they are doing theirs, because of course Nigeria is still a developing economy, that's why you usually have very high rates that way. Why? To attract people. And that's why you would have our Euro bonds usually oversubscribed. Why? Because that rate is not common. So a country can offer 15% returns, but if the inflation is higher, of course the return is negative. So the real issue here is not the rates. The real issue here is our inflation.
Okay.
When it comes to the rates actually is one of the best in the world.
All right. So the value of the money, if it is constantly reduced or dropping, I believe that's how inflation affects our currency. If it's constantly dropping, then what you're going to get is not probably going to be as much, because even though the interest rate is at a 12 or a 17, the value of the money in itself is reduced.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, Somi. Please ask your guest how much is the minimum amount of treasury bonds you can buy as an individual.
So when it comes to treasury bonds, minimum amount, first it depends on your capacity and capability. But on a normal day, usually you can invest with as low as 100,000 naira. Some can even go as low as 50,000 naira, right? So banks, for instance, often require from 50,000 naira upwards, right? But if you go through investment apps, you could even do as low as 10,000 naira, for treasury bills. Yes, if you go into investment apps, like Piggy, Piggy Invest doesn't do that. I think Carrywise does that and the likes, yeah. So you can get that from that. So again, there's no universal minimum from the government. Minimum can be from 50,000 naira upwards. But of course, the more you then invest, the higher your interest that you get as well when you are getting your money back. So that is the standard rate when it comes to the entry level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening. The government will be taxing profits from bonds and treasury bills next year, and that will make the earnings too negligible for those who can't invest big amounts, this person says. For me, not taxing those earnings less than 1.2 million is not enough. Those who earn less than 1.2 or even 1.2 million are among those struggling to feed and take care of other basic needs. What can 100,000 naira monthly do for a single individual, not to talk of people who have children, other family members to support and take care of? What does it take to feed daily? What about transport fare, house rent, and other daily needs? What the government needs to do, this person says, is build thousands of mass housings and connect roads and rails to the location and make transportation affordable to various places in the cities and across Nigeria using CNG or electric cars. If not, they're simply playing to the gallery. So let's address the first claim here, that government will be taxing profit from bonds and treasury bills next year. Is that correct?
Well, it's correct and it's also not so correct, and I would explain. So essentially, from next year, this is what is happening from next year. If you invest in the stock market or any kind of market, any form of investment, the government is not taxing you until you earn profits that is above 150 million naira. So that means if you're investing in stock market, for instance, today, or any kind of investment instruments, and you're earning 20 million naira as profits, you don't get taxed. If you're earning 100 million naira as profits, you don't get taxed. If you earn 150 million as profits, you don't get taxed. But if you earn 155 above, then you do get taxed, right? So I think that the average Nigerian has nothing to fear when it comes to the stock markets, because that is actually protecting you, But of course, we all know that once you get to the level where you're earning 150 million naira in profits, then you're no longer like an average Nigerian. Then you have to pay taxes.
Okay. I think for other parts of this comment, perhaps it would add up to what more the government needs to do. When the person talked about the threshold at 1.2 million, I don't know if you want to speak to that. Just basically talking about the earnings versus them being taxed. So is this something you want to speak to, or can we address? Oh my God, the questions keep coming in, and we have not spoken about some other investments. Okay. Should I take more questions?
Yeah, more questions.
Okay,
fine, yeah.
let's do that. Good day, Somi. Because I want to ask, is the personal income tax going to be taken from the basic salary or the total package of basics plus allowance? That's a great question.
Yeah.
So gross or net?
Yeah. So essentially, the is going to be taken really from your nets. When you remove the basics from it, so whatever is then left, that's where they take your taxes from.
So whatever hits your account after all deductions have been made.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if your gross is 1.2 and your company would deduct, if your gross is 1.25, 1,250,000, and the company has deductions that they're going to make. Once you hit the 1.2, you will not be taxed, is what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that's clear. Please ask your guest, Queen. Hi, thank you for forgiving me of my sins. Please ask your guest what the best way of going into bonds and treasury bills is. Also, will the tax on sanitary pads be removed, say at importation, or when I purchase at a supermarket? One imported brand I know is costing about 5,000 naira per pack, not a carton. I can't wait for the price to drop. This is from the Queen.
Well, very good question, Queen. The simple answer is when it comes to goods like sanitary pads, food and whatnot, they would not be taxed, right? That is what the government says, at least. Now, when it comes to how do you buy treasury bills, how do you buy bonds, the process is very simple. And here's the process. So if you want to buy bonds, for instance, you can go through your bank. Right. So let's say you bank with Access Bank, Stanbic IPTC, Zenith, UBA, GT Bank, whatever bank you bank with, all you've got to do is get in there, enter one of their branches, and tell them, I want to buy federal government bonds. Right. Once you tell them I want to buy federal government bonds, they will guide you. And then, of course, you can also buy through professional investment firms like ARM, FBN Quest, Meristem, what's their name, and Chapel EU. Stanbic IBTC, Asset Management, and the likes, and Cardinal Stone. So all you've got to do is, some of these guys, you could even contact them online, look at their websites, and then send an email that you want to invest in federal government bond. And then, of course, you then follow through, right? So that's the simple process to it. Walk into a bank, tell them you want to invest in federal government bonds or treasury bills, and they will give you a form to fill. You fill the form, you make your payments, or you do direct debit from your account to the account, and then of course the process starts.
Okay.
And of course, they will then give you your interests, and then afterwards you get your money back. It's as simple as that.
All right. Thank you. Larry says treasury bills are too short term to be used to finance capital projects like Third Mainland Bridge. Government bonds, which have longer terms, are used. Secondly, government bonds in more developed economies pay less because sovereign risks or the risk of default is lower. I think that also concurred with something you said earlier on. All right. Okay. Let's see. I have a minute left before we go on the commercial and take the news. I think, contrary to what happened last week, where we had a live appearance and we needed to cut it short, perhaps we might have that extension to go for like another 15-20 minutes after the 6 o'clock news. So just in case you still have your questions and they haven't been answered, we're going to do our best to do that after the news at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock. I will just take this one here, perhaps something for Isaac to think on while we're on the break. This question: how is the tax going to affect senior citizens or pensioners? Think on that, sir. When we come back from the news, we can start from that. And then we need to get into the other. We actually haven't really spoken extensively about our topic for today. We've been answering questions. Or do you think we've done justice still with the questions asked?
No, really. We can get into that as well.
Okay, so we will do that. So stay with us. We're talking mastering your money, savings, investments, and all of that continues after the break.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
Whether you're buying smoky jollof from your favorite spot in Ikeja, shopping online for your latest styles, or booking your next getaway to Dubai, MasterCard gives you the freedom to pay your way. Insert, tap, swipe, or click. So many options, yet so easy, with layers of security protecting every payment. your money stays safe.
From Danfo to travel, MasterCard connects you to the life you've earned and the one you dream of. Ask your bank for a MasterCard today. MasterCard, safe, convenient, priceless.
Mr. Teacher, please, what happens when children come to school? How is it that they leave home very neat and return looking so different?
Non-stop action, ma. All the learning and sports burn energy. So those sweat stains, dirty uniforms and shoes, they show that your kid has been very active.
Now, wow.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.